Burke's on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says, "Hey dude, you too must be from Marin." Marin County's A-OK, from Tam to Stinson all the way to MA. Fresh organic veggies in the market every day. The Dennis, Dylan, and NW.
Welcome to the RUN TMC Podcast. That is the RUN, the Marin County Podcast. Podcast about basketball in our home of Marin County, California. I'm Duffy Ballard. This is episode 13, and this is a very local, hyper Marin County episode. Dave, what do you think?
I think it's a great idea to have a hyper-local episode. It's a fun time of year. It's January. We're right in the thick of league. We had an awesome podcast event, which we are going to discuss, where we celebrated the RUN TMC community and our former guests and fans, and it was awesome. So, well-timed, hyper-local episode. Pull up a chair, get your iced coffee. Actually, no, it's cold. Get your warm coffee and enjoy.
Yes, Dave, yes. So for those who may not notice this, if you go and you look at our podcast on Apple or Spotify, wherever you find our podcast, you'll see in the title of each podcast, there will be, after the title or after the season and episode number, there'll be an either a little M or a capital M or a capital G. And that tells you whether the content in the podcast you're about to listen to is either more global basketball content or more Marin hyperlocal content. So just a reminder, if you're one of those core listeners here in Marin that wants to get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on in basketball in this county, either now or in the past, and reminisce, then look for the M. And if you're someone who's just perusing basketball content and wants to think about the game in a broader sense, perhaps, then look for the G.
Yet another wonderful innovation from our friend Duffy Ballard, the Steve Jobs of this podcast. Okay, go ahead.
So, Dave, we're going to get into this, but as you mentioned, on January 11th, so that was a couple weeks ago, we had a gathering of podcast and basketball luminaries at the Hub in San Selmo, which was an awesome event. And we had some speakers. We're going to share their content on the backside of this podcast. We also had some trivia that we floated a trivia form in advance to our fans and our guests and just some random people that we thought might answer it. And one of the first questions was about coffee preference. So, Dave, what was your guess going in terms of the percent hot coffee versus cold?
I mean, I knew that hot coffee would take the cake. This reminds me of a couple years ago, not that long ago, at work. I was looking at a flour business, like not the plants, but the thing you use to bake. And I was talking to the CEO of this company, and I was asking, like, so how much of the market is organic, and then how much is gluten-free? And being in Marin, you would think, oh, organic has got to be a huge part of the market. It's like less than 2% or something.
Right.
And gluten-free is tiny. So it's all relative. Obviously, I am a big iced coffee guy. I've got both. I got hot coffee this morning. But I think in general, the market is for hot coffee. So I would have guessed 80% hot coffee. That would have been my guess.
And you would have been pretty close. So 72.2% hot. And then this is interesting. It wasn't like cold, like jumped in and was like the remaining 27.8%. We had a little bit of tea in there. We had hot chocolate, and then we had cold. And then we had an answer of, I don't drink hot, but I got to cater to the podcast hosts here and say cold. Oh, that doesn't make any sense, Dave. So we got kind of one nonsensical answer, and then we got a mixture of cold tea and hot chocolate.
If I recall correctly, one of my favorite answers was, I'll have what she's having.
Correct, yes.
Good when Harry met Sally reference.
Right, and we put that in there because of the unfortunate and tragic death of the Reiners, and we went back and we're watching some of their they're great movies, Dave, and rewatched When Harry Met Sally.
Rob Reiner, just a legend. Spinal Tap. Oh, so many good ones. Anyway, we digress.
Stand by Me. Yeah, I think his movies pretty much, they hold up, most of them, I would say. And for a movie maker who made some movies in the 80s and 90s, that wouldn't translate to everyone. So anyway, we miss him.
Absolutely. Moving on.
Okay. We're all over the place, Dave. We're all over the place. But so this episode, we are going to focus on the Marin high school teams, and we're going to give a season update for each of them. And we're going to go back and forth, Dave and I, with the girls and the boys. We have some updates directly from the coaches. We sent out a late breaking request for updates just yesterday, and a bunch of the coaches got back to us already, which is awesome. And so we'll get into that. But first, one other item from the trivia, and later in this episode, you'll hear Dan Dibley give some results of the Marin County basketball trivia. But one of the questions that he doesn't really get into, that we thought we would just share some of the responses, is we asked the respondents if they had a favorite basketball quote or aphorism or saying, and we got some good responses. So I'll start, Dave, and then, you can follow. I like this one. A pass is not a pass when it's done after you've tried everything else.
Love that one. I like you can't score if you don't shoot.
That's
another
true.
way to
And
another way to
you miss 100% of shots you do not take. Mm-hmm.
Literally what I was just about to say. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Exactly. This one is a one that is near and dear to my heart because my friend KK says it all the time. Make a new mistake. I think it's a great message for kids, for players. Just make a new mistake.
Right. Dave, I was just at a free throw shooting contest yesterday, the one we promoted on our prior podcast. It was Archie. That is a fundraiser for St. Vincent de Paul. I have a quick sort of correspondent report from that free throw shooting contest that we'll mix in here with the other content on the podcast. But I wanted to just note that make a new mistake could include, facing the fear, and facing the fear of a free throw is a real thing. And I have to say, I went to shoot these free throws and my heart was pounding, and I had to, use all of my techniques from being 53 years old and working in the ER to try and sort of calm down my mind, even though I'm just standing in a gym. There's some guy I don't know passing me the ball. No one's really looking, and there really are no consequences on the line whatsoever. But yet I still was kind of facing a fear. And so I would, encourage our kids to get out and do things like that. It's a low risk situation, but could be high reward. And you start to figure out how to calm your mind. And I believe, Dave, that a fourth grader won this contest. At least a fourth grader was in the lead when I was there, 36 in a row.
Amazing. That's awesome. It's awesome that you did that. Yeah, it's always good to have situations in life where we get butterflies or a little bit out of our comfort zone. That's where the growth happens. And it's ironic, Duffy, not only are you an ER doctor, you're used to high stress situations, but I don't know anybody who has shot more free throws than you have in your life. I mean, you are an absolute junkie in the gym. So it's not like you're unfamiliar with the charity stripe. So.
Well, yeah, and I think that's what you go back to is I like the rhythm of just going into a gym on my own and shooting 100 free throws, and it just calms the mind, and it's the routine. It's the same thing every time, or you try to make it the same thing every time. And if you do that enough, then in a pressure situation, you can kind of fall back on that routine, the muscle memory of the routine. And I did, Dave, up until the point I didn't, and then I missed.
Even the best miss.
All right, so we'll do one more each. There was one respondent who was giving some love to Bill Walton, who died last year, as we know. Loved Bill Walton both as a player, and he was comical as an announcer. But he quoted Bill, I was always better at getting high than getting low.
Poignant words from the big man. Speaking of big man, I will choose. I assume this came from our friend Tom Poser. Keep the big man happy.
Yep. Or he could have said, "Give me the rock," or "Gimme's the rock." I've heard him
Gimme's the
say
ball.
that to me before. Gimme's
Yep.
the ball. Gimme's the rock. Do your work early. That's another big man one, in particular with post defense, right? We've talked about this on the show before. You and I both have yelled this to many players. Like
Yes.
if you're playing someone big and they want to take you down into the weight room, you try and keep them out of the weight room before they get the ball, not after they get the ball.
That's right. Get in position early in the possession. Do your work early. It's a great message. Jonas Honeck has yelled it at me many a time.
Defense is a state of mind, and balls to the baseline. I'm not sure what the balls to the baseline means. It sounds good, though.
Let's leave that one. Okay.
But a nice alliteration. Okay, Dave. So what we're going to do is we're going to hear from our sponsors. We have Batiste Rum is back as a sponsor. So thank you to John Lawson and Batiste Rum. We're going to hear from them, the Hub, Encore Custom, and Social Club. And then we're going to get into our season update of the Marin High School teams. School location.
We are sponsored by Encore Custom. From the field to the gym and everywhere in between, Encore Custom designs high-performance team apparel built for athletes, coaches, and active communities. Each piece is crafted with technical precision, modern fits, and customizable details that bring your team identity to life. Shop their ready-to-wear performance gear online or in-store, or create custom designs made exclusively for your team. Visit www.encorecustom.com or stop by their headquarters at 891 4th Street in San Rafael, California, to see where performance meets design. Thank you, Neil and the Encore Custom team, for your support. We love you.
And thank you to our newest sponsor, the Social Club. That is the Social KLUB, a modern indoor playground in Sausalito for kids aged 0 to 7. It is designed for play, exploration, and creativity. By day, it's a beautifully curated play space where kids can burn energy and parents can relax. That sounds great if you have little kids. And after hours, it transforms into a hub for adult classes, workshops, and events, bringing the same sense of community to grown-ups too. This is co-founded by Tessa White, who is a big fan and now a sponsor of the podcast. Thank you to Tessa. And you can find the Social Club at 2650 Bridgeway in Sausalito, California. The Social Club is also available for rental for parties. You pay the rent, then there is the party, and the rest is gravy. The RUN TMC Podcast is also sponsored by the Hub in San Anselmo. With plenty of parking and new Tesla charging stations at Red Hill Shopping Center, the Hub is the go-to burger spot where locals come to dine, drink, socialize, and sponsor RUN TMC Podcast roundtables. While their 100% grass-fed burgers are divine, the menu also features healthy salads made with local produce, vegetarian and vegan options, and the best crispy chicken sandwich in Marin. Amen to that. With 8 craft beers and ciders on tap, plus hand-spun milkshakes, there is something for everyone. Big thank you again to Jerry and Rebecca, to Jake and Dexter Beers, and all of the Hub staff that welcome us to the Hub for good food and good company and above average podcast.
We are sponsored by Batiste Rum. Thank you to our friend John Lawson for supporting us again. Batiste Rum is imported in bulk from the French Caribbean before proofing and bottling in Napa. It's made from 100% sugarcane juice, not molasses or syrups like other rums, so it's light and dry with a clean, not sweet taste, making it perfect for mixing your favorite cocktail. Its production process has been third-party verified as being carbon negative without relying on purchased offsets, so you know it's done right. Find Batiste Rum at fine local retailers like United, Nugget, Total Wine, Marin Beverage Outlet, and more, or ask for it. Check it out at Batiste Rum, that's BATISTERHUM.com. And please always drink responsibly. Thanks, John.
Okay. All right, Dave. We're going to try and make this rapid fire, but also informative information that you might not otherwise get if you were just go to Max Preps and take a look. Although we've both been on Max Preps, and we'll give you some information that you could get from Max Preps, but we'll do it all in one stint where you don't have to go and click a bunch of different times. How's that sound?
Sounds great. Why don't you start off and we'll go back and forth. I'm going to handle the girls teams. You handle the boys teams and you lead us off, Duff.
All right. So Archie Williams, 14-6 overall, 3-1 in MCAL, and number 15 in NCS overall, and number 4 in California in Division 3. They've had a great season so far. They have some very big wins over Campo and Branson, and then some very close losses. They lost to Sarah in the Bambauer. If they had won that game, they had a pretty good chance of going to the semis or even finals of the Bambauer. And a close loss last week at Marin Catholic. Dave, you and I were at that game. They played great. They have 4 very dynamic players. It's a senior-laden team, and they can play really, really fast if they need to or if they want to. So Ephraim Sohn, Grady Stewart, Measy Butler, just electric, and then Brian Wright just is a guy who makes shots, and he is shooting probably well over 50% from the field in the season, just like little one-hand push shots, but they go in. And then there are a bunch of juniors on the bench that have really good floppy hair game, Dave, and they include Braden Stewart and Holden Ballard. So Archie boys are going to be right in the mix for the MCAL and for NCS for a deep run, potentially.
Yeah, and we had, obviously, Grady Stewart was on our roundtable. We had Mike Claggett on our last coaches roundtable. Mikey's doing a fantastic job. Shout out to Chad Stewart, also Mikey's assistant, and Burke Frazier, of course. Just a really good team. And that MC Archie game was awesome basketball. It was a pretty fun environment, packed gym. There have been a couple games like this that we're going to get to where just the packed gym, the cold January night, and good basketball. It's so fun. So I'm excited for the next couple of weeks of MCAL and the playoffs and beyond. Archie is definitely an excellent team that's going to go deep.
Yeah, that was, I would say, a 4-towel night, Dave. There were about 4 towels that were used to wipe up the floor because it was really crowded gym, a lot of condensation, and then a lot of guys were hitting the floor. And it reminded me of the Archie Redwood game from last year at Archie. Very similar situation, just an electric atmosphere.
Absolutely. So why don't we get to the Archie Williams girls? The Archie Williams girls team is a really good team. We actually played them at Branson a couple weeks ago, and we're very lucky to get out of there with a win. Ed Wiltz is doing an awesome job in his first year. So they are 11-8 overall. They're 2-2 in league. They've had some injuries and illness. A lot of teams are dealing with illness these days. So they lost to Marin Catholic and Branson in close games recently, and neither of those games Archie was at full strength. They were missing one of their core players. They're led by Reese Patton and Parker Conrad, 2 really good players, but they're very deep. They've got some great guards. Archie's a very tough team. They are firmly a playoff team. They have a big week this week as they play Novato and then Redwood on Friday at Redwood, which will be a big game, and I believe that's Redwood's senior night. And then they close out the season with San Marin in a few weeks, and that'll be an important game with playoff implications. So Archie's 50th overall in NCS, all divisions, and they're number 10 in NCS D3. They are not a team that you want to face in the playoffs. They can beat anybody.
Yeah, and they also have Lulu Poser on the squad, a Frosh at Archie. It's always great to see her, even if she's not playing a lot. She's got a great energy about her, and she always comes up and says hello to the adults that she knows in the gym. So,
agreed.
Little shout out to Lulu Poser.
Love you, Lulu.
And the Archie boys, of course, have the same schedule as teams often do. So they play at home against Novato and then senior night at Redwood on Friday. And speaking of Redwood, let's go to Redwood next. So we had Coach Jay DeMaestri on the podcast last year in season 3 as part of a roundtable. He was great, and he gave us a brief update here, and then we can probably riff a little bit more. So the Redwood boys are 8-11. They've scuffled a little bit early in the season. They had some good wins, including over San Ramon Valley early in the year, but also some tough losses. They've played a tough schedule. They traveled to Southern California for tournaments after Christmas, but they are hitting their form. They're 4-1 in MCAL, and they are ranked number 3 in Division 2 NCS. And Jay says, hey guys, Redwood is coming off a week going 1-1. We still have things we're working on, but hitting a good stride. We're gearing up for San Marin on Tuesday and then Archie and Friday on senior night. We're just focusing on the next game and not looking into the future. So their week last week was is 1-1, but two really tough games. They lost in a one possession game to Branson, and then they beat Marin Catholic at home. Another electric atmosphere, Dave, on Friday, and played great. Charlie Poser, another Poser reference. We're going to try and get as many in as we can, Dave. He's their 5, but he also was a key guy to break the pressure from Marin Catholic, and they really relied on him to get the ball off the floor and slow that game down. And then they had good performances from Olin Johnson, former RUN TMC Hooper with the RUN TMC CYO crowd as well, and also Jake Post, who's been on the podcast as the last player roundtable. So they played great, close game, and they pulled away at the end.
Yeah, Redwood's not the big games are not foreign to these kids. They're used to playing in front of big crowds. It helped, the returners from last year on that team with TT went very deep into playoffs and played on a big stage. We talked about it with Jay when Jay was on our coaches roundtable. They purposely schedule really tough teams. They play in these tournaments. They're playing against some of the best players in the country. So they're just not afraid. And that was always an old Jonas Honeck statement that he would make when we're playing teams. He would say they're not afraid, and that was high praise. And Redwood is not afraid of anybody. And Marin Catholic, obviously, Duff, you're on the staff. Marin Catholic has been unbelievable this year. They are continuing to be unbelievable. They're a great team. And Redwood just wasn't afraid, stepped up, made plays. It was an awesome game. The environment was a playoff environment, packed house at Redwood, the biggest gym in Marin. It was great. Can't wait to see you guys battle again, and I'm sure you will at some point. But congrats to Redwood on a great start to the league. And the Branson game, as you mentioned, came down to literally one possession. So it's wide open, as we've been saying all along, and we'll get to the other teams in the league. But on the boys' side, the MCAL is truly wide open between 4 and 5 teams. So really great.
Yep. Agreed.
Okay, I'm going to get to the girls. We had some words from our friend Zach Borello, who we also a former guest on the pod, was on the roundtable. Redwood girls are one of the best teams in the state. They're ranked currently number 7 in California D2, number 7 in NCS overall, all divisions. If you do the math, that means they're right on the doorstep, if not in, to be an open team for NCS. They are number 66 in California, all divisions. Redwood's a really darn good team. They're 15-5 overall, 5-0 in league. Zach wrote us this. As you know, we have an incredibly hard schedule and could not be more proud of my team right now. Hindi Copeland had a triple-double on Saturday with 11 points, 11 blocks, and 20 rebounds. I can say that my anecdotal comment here, Hindi is a problem. She alters every shot. It's very challenging to play against her. She's great. Back to Zach. Maddie Petersmeyer is playing really well for us right now. And we're getting huge numbers from Kitty White, Brooke Denler, Drew Schultz, and great minutes off the bench from B. Nass, Rachel Towns, and Phoebe Sable. Big games this week with a huge game tomorrow night versus San Marin, and then senior night Friday versus Archie. We played a lot of games the last 2 weeks and proud of our focus, resiliency, and overall competitive nature we attack each game and practice with. We are really focused on MCAL right now. Need to take it one game at a time. And Zach also said a huge shout out to Tony Butler. I was going to talk about this later, but Tony Butler and San Marin organized a one-day tournament in honor of Melissa Boyle, our friend, former guest, as you know, passed away tragically. We reference her as well in some of the recordings later. But Tony, this is the second year he's done this, put together a one-day tournament, and it was really great. Bunch of Marin teams participated, including my Branson team, Redwood, Marin Catholic, Archie, Marin Academy. It was great. So Zach wanted to give a shout out to Tony for putting that together.
Great. Yeah. And I got to see the Redwood girls play a little bit against Marin Catholic girls this past week, and they have talent across the roster. They can play fast. They can play slow. And Kitty White, who was on our last basketball player roundtable, a really good, just fundamental player who can do a lot of things on the floor. She's, you just watch her for like a few minutes. You're like, oh, that's a really good basketball player.
Yep.
So anyway, yeah, really strong team. And expect them to make some noise in the postseason. So we talked about San Marin. Do you want to go to San Marin girls next, Dave? And then we'll just mix it up the order a little bit here.
Sounds great. San Marin girls, 14-7 overall, 4-0 in league. Big game versus Redwood this week. San Marin's number 12 in California D3. They're number 20 in NCS overall, all divisions. They're a really good team. They beat us by 10 at my Branson team, played them last week. They beat Marin Catholic in a very big game with playoff implications by 3. Went down to the wire. They had a tough loss to Maria Carrillo in the Melissa Boyle event, but that actually, those losses sometimes are going to be helpful down the line. We actually have a quick audio message from Tony Butler, San Marin's head coach. So why don't we play that right now? And then we'll get on to the San Marin boys. But San Marin girls are awesome team and definitely going to make a deep playoff run.
Hey, what's up, guys? Coach Tony Butler here, San Marin girls basketball. Checking in with a couple weeks left in the season. We are really excited about the opportunity to secure a home court playoff game and even maybe a bye. So we are getting ready for the juggernaut that is Redwood on Tuesday, and then get ready to celebrate our seniors a week from that. So just really excited and look forward to the race that is girls basketball in Marin County coming down the line. Our senior leader, Abby Bartolo, is really leading the way these days, and just excited to see how she's finishing her senior career. And she's just leading by example day in and day out. And we're getting really great support across the board. Our freshmen are developing. And, they're learning along the way, too. Lights are bright at this time of year, so it's fun to see that. Before I go, just want to throw a big shout out to all the coaches and families that came out to the Melissa Boyle Showcase event, Pink Out, yesterday, Saturday at San Marin. It was just a really great time, a lot of really great basketball. And there are some really special players in the North Bay. It was really great just to see them all in the same gym. But the sportsmanship, the generosity, and the spirit that both the coaches and players displayed in memory of Melissa was beyond our expectations, and we raised a bunch of money and can't wait to announce that in the next couple days. But looking forward to the stretch run of the season and seeing everybody in the gym. Let's get it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Coach. Love hearing from Coach Butler. What a great coach and also member of the community. So let's see. We are going to move on to San Marin boys, if I can find them here, Dave. And we heard from Coach Lav. We love Coach Lav. He was also recently on the podcast. It seems like we've had just a lot of people on the podcast, Dave. It's great to be able to mention someone and then mention they were on the podcast. So they are 12-10 and 1-3 in MCAL. They've played tough in MCAL. They had a tough loss last week to TAM. They had an 18-point lead and let that one get away. And they are number 10 in NCS Division 3. So Coach Lav says, we won last week with a huge win over Vintage, lost to TAM, and then a big road win over Justin Siena on Friday night. Justin Siena is very tough. They have a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball. That wasn't him, Dave. That was just my editorial. The Mustangs are led by Miller Morgan, 14 points a game, 6 rebounds per game, 3 assists per game, really complete player. And Jake Beasler, lefty, great shooter, and he has 13 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, 2 assists per game. Telling stat is that San Marin averages 17 assists per game and has assisted on 74% of its field goals. That is pretty remarkable. That's amazing. And they do that. They also have an assist to turnover ratio of 1.4 to 1. So sometimes you can overpass, or sometimes you pass a lot and you end up with more turnovers, but they have a good assist to turnover ratio, and they have a really high percentage of assisted baskets. So they play Redwood this week. That could be a very tough game for Redwood. I would expect it to probably be pretty close. And then they have Novato on Friday.
Awesome. Coach Lav does a great job. San Marin in every game. They were in it with you guys. They were in it versus Branson. I expect them to compete with Redwood. They're not a team that you want to face.
Yep, right in the mix to make the postseason at MCAL. And of course, they will be in NCS as well. How about I do Branson boys, Dave? Because I have them right here in front of me. Okay, so Branson boys are 10-11 overall, 4-1 in MCAL. They're number 25 overall in NCS and number 5 in California in the state in Division 5. They have played an exceptionally difficult schedule. I'd say it's pretty safe to say that they have played the most difficult schedule of any of the boys teams we're talking about on this episode. And so that, that translates to a record that's sub 500 right now, but it's not likely to stay there. So anyways, Coach Rockmore sent us an update, and I'm just going to read it because it's very well written, and then we'll riff a little bit more. This season has been defined by growth through adversity. We've taken some hits, roster changes, close losses, moments that tested our resolve, but instead of splintering, it forced us to get honest and get better. Early on, it was about discovery, stress testing lineups, redefining roles, and figuring out what actually holds up under pressure. Now we're starting to gel at the right time. Guys are settling into adjusted roles, embracing them, and executing with clarity. The adversity accelerated our buy-in. Defensively, we're locking in, talking, rotating, competing, and taking real pride in stops. That end of the floor is becoming non-negotiable and a cornerstone of our brand. Offensively, our identity is sharpening. We're hunting great shots, sharing the ball, and playing for each other. The ball movement is purposeful, the spacing is cleaner, and the decision-making is trending up. We're not chasing perfection, we're building momentum. And because we've been through some things, and this group is tougher, more connected, and more aligned. The timing is right, the belief is real, and our brand of basketball is starting to show up consistently when it matters. Man, Dave, I think I want to run through a wall right now.
Pretty darn good, Coach D. That was great. Also a former guest on our podcast. These roundtables are a great way to get a lot of guests. So that was really well written and well said. And Demetrius is a great guy. Obviously I get to see him a lot because we practice before or after them often. And early in the season, when their record was, on paper, they didn't have a good record. They're playing, as we've talked about, some of the toughest teams in the state. Some of them like nationally ranked. And Demetrius the whole time was saying like, I like my team. We're good. So, and here they are in MCAL. They're 4-1. The loss was a really close game to Archie. Went down to the literally one possession game. Sounds familiar. Branson is battle tested. They're awesome. And then to state the painfully obvious, NJ Gray is worth the price of admission anywhere you go. This guy's going to be playing on TV in 2 years at a high level D1 somewhere. He is scintillating. Super fun to watch.
Yeah, he makes them go, obviously, on both ends of the floor. He can really do everything. And he is very fun to watch. As you say, he's like a double team, just ready to be split right down the middle. And then a spin move, or even a double spin move and a lefty finish into contact. He can take on a team 1 versus 5 if he wants to. But the other guys around him, and Dave, I've been watching a lot of Branson film because we play them on Wednesday. The other guys around him are all good players, and they have skill sets that are pretty complementary. So they have some shooters. Tyler Wells can shoot the ball, and Caden Fortune, another ball handler, he can attack the rim. Gabe Halbrecht is a great all-around player who's pretty gritty and very strong on his finishes. So they're pretty young, but they are pretty talented, and they like a number of these other teams we talked about can make a deep run in postseason.
Absolutely. Yep. Very fun team to watch. Go check out the Branson boys. And while you're at it, show up a little early and watch the Branson girls. I can hit on them. They're 13-10, 3-2 in league. Tough loss to San Marin by 10, as I mentioned. Lost to Redwood by more than 10. Redwood's really good. Big game this week for us versus Marin Catholic, who's awesome. Branson girls are number 10 in California D5, number 55 in NCS overall, and number 2 in NCS D5. We did get some words from KK. KK said, the Branson Bulls have been competing. We have a young squad that is eager to learn, and our senior leadership is strong. Sophomore Kate Spalding has made a name for herself as an elite guard in Northern California. We like to mix up our defense and play fundamental offense. This group is getting better every day. I can't wait to see these girls make a playoff run. And then she added, the assistant coach is crazy, but the kids love him. Wait a minute.
Which assistant coach is she talking about?
I don't know what she's talking about. But yeah, it's a fun group. The Branson squad learning. A lot of young freshmen and sophomores getting meaningful minutes. And I see that around the league. A lot of young kids are getting in games, and it just makes you excited for, it's fun to watch them grow with each night, but it also makes you think, man, this boys and girls, we're going to have some really good league battles for years to come. So good stuff.
Very good. Yeah, it's great to see you and KK coaching together. Super fun, and you've really made some progress with this team. And I'd expect once again postseason run. It's in the mix for y'all. So,
indeed. Why don't we hit on Marin Catholic, Duffy?
Okay. All right.
I will.
Yeah. Tell us about the girls.
We got some words from Rachel Yarnold. So Marin Catholic, kind of like the Branson boys, have just played a brutally tough schedule. So MC's 5-12 overall. They're 2-2 in league, but the record does not reflect how good the team is. So from a ranking perspective, number 43 in NCS overall, I expect that to go up. They're number 27 in California D4. Rachel Yarnold is a first-year coach. She's a really good coach. She sent this to us. Marin Catholic sits at 2-2 in league play, having gone toe-to-toe with some of the MCAL's most formidable opponents. Sophomore Simone Claxton is hitting her stride with double-digit performances against San Rafael and Archie Williams. Freshman point guard Ella Hyman continues to impress after a breakout all-around game against rival Redwood. Senior captain Cece Bernet, who former podcast guest, remains the heart and soul of the Wildcats, creating offense and fearlessly guarding players well above her size. Junior captain Brooke Spagnolo has been a two-way star, consistently taking on the toughest defensive matchups. With momentum building, the MC Wildcats are peaking at the right time and eager to see how the rest of the league play unfolds. So thanks, Rachel, for those thoughts. And we will see them on Wednesday when Branson plays Marin Catholic.
Yes. Yeah. It's great to see CC around campus. She's just like a cool energy about her, and the MC team. They've scuffled a little bit early on, but they do seem to be gelling at the right time. They played pretty tough against Redwood and we're in that game for most of it, and had a tough loss at San Marin a few weeks before that, once again against a very good team. Yep.
They're, and MC's gonna, and again, this is defending state champions. Brooke, Cece, some of those kids played in that meaningful minutes last year. They're not afraid of any setting.
Yep. All right. Well, MC boys, I do know about them, Dave. We did not ask Kevin for any words because Kevin has said that he wants to have a successful first season at the helm of the team before he puts himself at risk with any words on the podcast that could be misinterpreted. So, on Kevin's behalf, and I think he's already had a successful first season, but we'll let him finish it out and hopefully have him on the podcast after the season, because he's great to talk to about basketball. He thinks basketball all the time. He's watching more film, I think, than probably any coach in Northern California. He's just a junkie. So anyway, it's translated so far with a very talented team of 17 players, all of whom have made meaningful contributions already on the season. It's translated to 17-3 record, 3-1 in MCAL with that loss to Redwood on Friday night, which was, a very, very good win for Redwood. Also, close games, as you mentioned, Dave, in MCAL to Archie, which was one possession game at the end, and San Marin was right in the game against MC as well. So in the league, the outcomes have tightened up quite a bit. Number 5 right now in NCS after the loss to Redwood, which would put MC in the open division if the season were to end today. So we'll see what happens with that. They won the De La Salle tournament to kick off the year. The first time in 25 years, I was told that a team other than De La Salle had won that tournament, and then won the Bambauer tournament in a very memorable win over University in overtime, 96-95, and only the second time that MC has won the Bambauer tournament, the last time being 2011. The team uses a hockey sub approach, so 5 in, 5 out, a minute or two, and then the next group's in. That's been very successful. The pace is fast and a lot of pressure. And the second unit features 5 sophomores, often playing together. And they've been very successful, been able to grow as 5 sophomores, getting a lot of game experience, and they're fun to watch. And then the first unit, you have Joe Hammond, an elite point guard, leading that unit. Henry Dibble, shooter, can really stroke it. Oliver Myers Jr., one of the best shooters in the county, maybe the best shooter in the county. Jack Herman, we mentioned before, great player, very efficient. He's been out with a shoulder injury. Micah Pierce, transfer. I'm going to name everyone, I guess, now. Micah Pierce, a transfer from New Jersey, senior, and he's gotten into the rotation, had a great game against Redwood. And then Bentley Morrow just can do everything. He's a big man who can handle the ball, rebound, and a great passer too. So hopefully and Quinn Myers, other captain, senior captain, just been fantastic. All right, Dave, I guess I should now go through the whole roster, but I'll stop. I'll stop there.
Stop there. Just go watch the MC boys play. They're very fun to watch.
Okay, Terra Linda next.
Sure.
Okay, so Terra Linda boys are 11-9. They are 1-4 in MCAL, but still number 9 in D3 NCS. They have struggled a little bit in MCAL. They had a tough, first game loss to San Marin League. As we mentioned before, their star player Evan Brewster, who had been on the player roundtable previously, hurt his foot in that game and has not played since. We think he probably is out for the year. Sounds like almost certainly out for the year. So that's been really tough for Terra Linda to adjust, but they did have a good win on Saturday over St. Vincent de Paul, and they're still in the mix for postseason and even for MCAL playoffs. They have a big game against San Rafael this week, and that game probably goes a long way towards determining the playoff situation for the MCAL boys.
And then on the girls' side, Michaela Glenn is a great person, great coach. It's her first year. She's rebuilding this program. They're 1-13 overall, 0-5 in league. She's getting them to play hard. I think it's going to be a process, as we've all been there. I remember talking to Zach Barella when he started at Branson many years ago, and they were 3-20 or something. So I think we've all been there. But Terra Linda, rebuild program, but Michaela is a great coach, and I think she'll be there for a long time.
All right. TAM? How about TAM?
Great. Go for it.
Okay. The TAM boys, they've been a surprise team, I would say, coached by Tim Morgan, who we love. They are 12-10, 3-2 in MCAL, and number 11 in NCS D2. We heard from Coach Morgan, and this is what he said. After starting 2-6, we've won 10 of our last 14 games, with those losses coming against really tough teams: Valley Christian, San Domenico, Redwood, and Branson. This stretch has put us in a great spot to qualify for NCS, which was the main goal for us. The tough start was an eye-opener for us with an inexperienced team, so we decided to go backwards and refocus on fundamentals and simplify. We were also able to settle on rotation and accept roles. The turning point was our tournament in Chico, where we, the players and coaches, thought we were all pressing, so we had a big talk that focused on why we love to play and get back to playing without worrying about consequences, such as playing time or wins and losses. That really settled us. Credit to the players for pushing through adversity, buying into the culture, and playing for each other. Different guys have led the way at different points in the season. Throughout the year, we played a lot of close games and been fortunate to pull more out than not. As of late, we're playing some of our best ball at the right time, including a big comeback win at San Marin, which showed our constant fight and belief in one another. We had a letdown Friday night after that emotional win and laid a dud, and were deservingly beat down by a tough and hungry Branson team. Hoping that wakes up our guys for us for a huge game Tuesday, San Rafael, which could decide MCAL playoff berth. So big week for San Rafael. All in all, I'm very proud of my guys thus far, and no matter what happens the rest of the way, it will be a successful season with a ton of growth and improvement that we can hopefully build off of in a playoff run and into next year. Thank you, Coach Morgan. Great summary.
Well said, Timmy. Also a former guest. Great one to listen to. Tim is a fantastic coach and has a really interesting life story. Very inspirational guy. TAM girls are 5-12. They're 1-3 in league. Lynette Engeloff always has this team playing hard. They're a little small. They don't have a lot of size, but they battle. They press. We had a good battle against them this past week. Our Branson team beat them, but it was close. They have San Rafael, Marin Catholic, and Archie left in their league schedule, and they're going to try and surprise somebody and maybe sneak into the playoffs. That 6th spot is open, but Lynette always does a great job with them. And TAM always plays hard.
All right. How about we go to the Running Wildcats, Dave? The Marin Academy Running Wildcats. coached by Khalil Murphy, and they got off to a great start in the season. They sit at 13-8 currently. They've had a tough run in the Bay Counties League. They're winless so far, but they still have a ranking of number 11 overall in Division 4 in NCS. And they have a big game on Wednesday. They host San Domenico. And I heard from Coach Murphy just moments before we started recording. So I appreciate him getting back to us really quickly. So he says, I'm really proud of my guys. Started conference play with a 12-3 record after winning the 76 Redwood Empire Invitational Basketball Tournament, which was hosted by Healdsburg High School. We started conference play 0-5 with some very competitive games, with the exception of the game against University, and that's a pretty normal exception. The mental approach and confidence we have as a group hasn't wavered, but the adversity has offered us a great opportunity to grow and learn. Lessons, I think, are not only necessary for the sport, but also in life. With only two seniors, Nate Easler and Grayson Rothbart, we have a group that's still developing, and the next steps for us is closing out those close games. Our leading scorers so far are Kaina Ho, 17 points per game. He's a really, really nice player, fun to watch, great shooter, very crafty. And Tristan Stanfeld, 14 points per game and 5 assists per game, both juniors. I look forward to the second half of conference play and see how we respond. The Bay Counties West is an extremely competitive league with really great coaches, and that's definitely true. We've talked about how strong that league has become over the last several years.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great league. Very fun games to watch. So thanks, Khalil. That's awesome stuff. Good to see MA back on the right track, competing. I was actually at the MA Marin Catholic game a couple of weeks ago. That was a lot of fun to watch. So good luck rest of the way to Khalil and the Running Wildcats. On the girls' side, Zach Wally, who was formerly at Archie Williams, is doing a great job with Marin Academy girls. They're 13-7. They're 2-3 in league. Just like on the boys' side, the Bay Counties League West is a pretty competitive league on the girls' side. Penelope Lee is a great point guard. She's a sophomore for Marin Academy. She's really, really good. Sterling Colpitz, great kid, great senior center, was hurt. She's back after an injury. And actually, I saw Marin Academy beat Santa Rosa this weekend in a really close game. It was a 3-point game. They beat San Domenico. They beat Convent last week. They've lost to University, which is no shame in that. So MA is certainly in the mix for an NCS berth, and I would expect them to be in the conversation for a playoff berth in the Bay Counties League. And the Bay Counties League has been a weird league this year. So University typically rolls teams, but they just lost to Urban. Lick is really good. So it's pretty open in the Bay Counties League on the west side.
All right, Dave, I'll let you spin the wheel. Where do we go next?
Let's go San Rafael. I'll quickly hit on the San Rafael girls, and then you can read some words from Steve Tornello. The San Rafael girls are 6-9 overall. They're 0-4 in the MCAL. Kind of like Terra Linda, it's a young team that's rebuilding. They've got some games against TAM and Terra Linda this week, and then they're going to close out the MCAL with San Marin and Branson the following week. But there's basically a battle. You got obviously Redwood's the class of the league, and then you've got a couple teams in the mix for kind of the 2 through 5 spots. But then there's a battle for 6 with Novato, San Rafael, Terra Linda, TAM. So San Rafael's hoping to make some noise here in the next couple weeks, in the next couple games.
All right, and from front of the podcast, Coach Tornello, he brought us the term rock fight. Is that right? From season 1, Dave?
Yes, I went on mute for a second. Yeah, sorry, I coughed.
You coughed. Okay.
Yes, rock fight.
Rock fight. So the San Rafael boys have had some rock fights this year. I'll read from Coach Tornello, who was kind enough to send in an update. So they are 12-10 and have played a difficult stretch of games up until this point. Once again, they've been playing without a home gym, so all of the games have been on the road or a neutral court. That's really unfortunate for them. Hopefully that gym gets finished up soon. The highlights have been wins against San Domenico, Cardinal Newman, both on the road, and Campo on a neutral court. Those are all pretty highly ranked NCS teams. The Cardinal Newman team is 12th in NCS, and they're 19-2. They're a very good team, so that was a great win. They've shown up well in MCAL so far, leading Archie Williams for most of the game until losing in the final minute. That was a very close one-possession game. San Rafael had a great shot to win that game, and an overtime loss at Redwood. So they feel like they're right there with the top teams in the league. The Dogs are led by senior guard Luke Shapiro, averaging 25 points per game. He has 6 games of 30 points or more and 2 over 40. One of those, Dave, was against Novato. I think he had 42 on Friday. He's an incredible show to watch throughout the season with deep range and explosive dunks. And he's currently sitting at 1,340 points for the 4-year varsity career. That's pretty darn impressive. Yeah, he is explosive, just an amazing athlete, but very skilled and can shoot the ball from anywhere. He's supported by junior forward Wyatt Tornello. That's Steve's son. Wyatt is a beast, very strong, got great touch, good basketball player, who's averaging 11 points and 8 boards a game, and junior guard Jax Aguilin, who's averaging 10 points a game, and junior Cannon Wood has performed exceptionally well at guarding the opponent's best player. They're also missing Will Healy, who's 6'6", junior center, lefty, very skilled, very strong. So he may be back by the end of the season. That will help them a lot.
Luke Shapiro is very fun to watch. And Centerfell, they're dogs. They play hard. Colin Hamilton's doing a great job getting those guys to play with energy. They're in every game. Not an easy battle against them ever.
Awesome. Let's go. We got 2 more squads to hit. San Domenico and Novato. Let's hit San Domenico. I'll start with the girls. Leroy Anderson in his first year as a coach is doing a really nice job over there. San Domenico has a transfer. Asha, she's a phenomenal point guard, and obviously as a transfer, she had to sit out half the year, but now she's back, and San Domenico is now in every game. So they played University really tough, which was great, and then they actually beat Urban. And Urban, as I mentioned earlier, beat University, who's the perennial first place team in that league. So San Domenico right in the mix for playoffs. Leroy gets them to play hard. He's a fiery, inspirational guy and coach, does a great job with them. And they have a big week. So 3 games this week for San Domenico. They play Marin Academy, Urban again, and Convent. Now remember, the Bay Counties League does not have the single round robin. They play everybody home and home. So you get 2 shots at people, unlike the MCAL.
San Domenico boys, coached by our good friend Tyler Gaffney. They are 15-6 and 3-2 in the Bay Counties West. They're number 6 in the state in Division 5. They play Marin Academy this week on Wednesday. As we mentioned before, that will be a big game. Their prior matchup with MA at San Domenico was a 3-point win, so a close win for San Domenico. Tyler Gaffney was busy this weekend, Dave, so we did not get a report from him. He was being inducted into the Ted Ducey Hall of Fame at Claremont Mud Scripts on Sunday. Friends of the podcast, Jeff Skaggs and Mike Bolton, went down and sent us a picture of them with Tyler for that celebration, which is very cool. So we've talked about Tyler as a player before, and his numbers are just amazing. Dave, there was his shooting percentages from his senior year at Claremont, 54% from the field, 46% from 3, just amazing. And he was player of the year in the SCIAC 2 years in a row. Anyway, great player, also great coach. He has San Domenico, punching at or above their weight in every game. And they have some, you've seen him play, Dave. I have not really. So they have some talented young players and a senior core of guards, and they have the ability to beat anyone.
They're really good. First of all, did Tyler, those shooting percentages, was there defense? Or because I can't,
Right.
I don't think I could do that in an empty gym. Yeah, Tyler's an incredible player, incredible coach. We've talked about him a lot. And the San Domenico boys are, as I say, it's a common refrain, but it's true. They're in every game. So they've got some really quick guards, Ika, Johadze, Omar, really good players. And then they've got, the big man Oscar down low, who's 6'6", who's had some huge games. They've got a freshman who's really good from Brazil, who's awesome and energetic. And so San Domenico is a really good team, and they will make some noise, certainly in the playoffs. And Tyler is in every game. He just is an incredible coach, an incredible motivator and communicator, but also in game, makes adjustments. The dude knows what he's doing. So they're always fun to watch.
And they did win the Red Brown tournament in December at Archie against a very solid field of teams, including Archie Williams was in that tournament, although San Domenico and Archie did not play. So that's a great accomplishment for them this year to win that Red Brown tournament.
Yep. Last one, Novato. I'll start with the girls. Novato's 8-12. They're 3-1 in league, which is great. They now enter a tougher stretch for them as they play Archie, San Marin, MC, and Redwood, 4 playoff teams in a row. Our Branson team beat Novato a couple weeks ago, but then they've beaten Tam, Terra Linda, and San Rafael. I expect, if I had to guess today, Novato would be the 6th seed and be the final playoff team in the girls' side, but we'll see what happens. Katie Paniagua Aguiar is doing a really nice job in her first year as a coach. They have a couple really good players who can score. They're playing hard, and they're in a lot of games. And so congrats to Novato on a solid season, and, good luck next couple weeks with the playoff run.
Novato boys, Dave, they're scuffling a little bit this year. They unfortunately have not won a game. They have been in games, including they did have a lead over Tam, I believe a double-digit lead before Tam took that game. So they've been in games. They have played tough. I have not seen them play, but I will see them play tomorrow when they come to visit Archie Williams. So we'll give them a little bit of love on the next podcast after we find some nice things to say about them.
Sounds great. And then let's do one last shout out here. I know this has been a long update, but hopefully people have found it useful. Dominican, our friend Tim Lacos, the women's team at Dominican is 14-3. They're in the hunt for the conference title and a national ranking. I actually saw them play a couple weeks ago when they played Point Loma and Hannah Golan, and Dominican got the win. Tim's doing an awesome job, as always, with that team. He's got a lot of talent, some really good freshmen, and they're a fun team to watch. And then the men's team, I believe, is 10-7 under Coach Arginal. And, we're just very lucky, in addition to the great high school hoops that we have in Marin that we talk about ad nauseum, we've got some really good college teams here too. So go check out Dominican men and women. Go check out College of Marin. Support local hoops.
Yep, indeed. So, Dave, I think I'm going to title this episode Season 3, Episode 13, and then in parentheses, S for sleepy, because we have now probably made our listeners excessively sleepy as we've gone through this very detailed season update. But hopefully, if you are really into high school hoops in Marin, you've learned something, a couple things maybe new about these teams in Marin County. And, they have all put a lot of time and effort in the season. And now this is, it's kind of coming to crunch time. So we should probably move on to crunch time as well, Dave.
Yes.
All right. So what we're going to do, Dave, is we mentioned at the very top of this episode that we had the event at the Hub. Thank you so much, Jerry and Rebecca. They sponsored this event. They brought out some sliders and some other tasty, savory treats, and we had some drinks going. It was a great atmosphere. They put up the banner for the podcast in the Hub. They went above and beyond, and then we brought together some luminaries, as I mentioned, some former guests, and Eddie Joe Chavez was in the room, and we'd love to have him on the podcast eventually, and I think we will. And anyway, we talked basketball. Tom Poser was our MC. You'll hear him, and then a couple other brief speeches, and then we're going to close it out with Stroke 9. Luke Esterkin was there. He did not play Marin for us, but next time we do this event, we're asking him to bring the guitar and strum it for us.
Yeah, the highlight was for me, well, first of all, just having the room full of people that inspire me, that are fun, and hoops luminaries, fans was great. We had a number of people who couldn't make it because they were sick or had other commitments. The 49er game was problematic. We love the 49ers, but just the playoff game happened to be right when we were going to do this. So that reschedule, we lost a few folks, but as is, we had a great group of people. The personal highlight for me was sitting down with Eddie Joe Chavez and just hearing him tell stories. I didn't have a microphone going. I wish I did, but Eddie Joe, just an incredible human, and had so many thoughtful things to say and advice for us. He loves what we're doing, but he's kind of like, don't talk about me. He's like, talk about the guys in South County, talk about the history of Marin City basketball, and just had some great ideas, things that we've thought about and we are going to follow up on. But we definitely are going to get a microphone in front of Eddie Joe and get him on at some point. But I thought the speeches were fantastic. Natu Tuatagaloga, inspirational, talks about community. He's great. He's like a preacher. It was awesome. Dan Dibley, funny. So enjoy these little speeches, but more importantly, thanks everybody for supporting us, listening, supporting high school hoops. I mentioned it earlier. Go into these games and seeing a packed house, and not just students, but a lot of adults there who are just wanting to watch good basketball. It really means a lot to the kids out on the floor, means a lot to the families. The community is amazing, and we're just happy to be a part of it.
Yep. Yeah, after Natu's speech, Angela, my wife, who was there, and she was appreciated by Tom at the very start of his remarks. But anyway, she said, I felt like I went to church. And so I think that was a good way to describe the feeling in the room listening to Natu. And I also had a great day at the Hub there. After our event, Dave, as you know, watched the 49ers game there with Luke Estrican and Mike Zaya. And we just kind of hung out the entire day at the Hub, to the point where, some of the staff were starting to chuckle at us for being, barstool degenerates, but it was worth it. It was worth it, Dave. And so what we'll do, we'll get into those clips. And then right before that, I've got just a really brief correspondent Duffy report from the free throw shooting contest at R2 Williams that was just yesterday.
Great. And we have some additional episodes that we've banked. We have a couple interviews we've already done that are great coming up. So keep supporting us, keep listening, and go watch hoops. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Dave, this is correspondent Duffy. I just dropped by Red Brown and popped my head in for the free throw shooting contest and fundraiser for St. Vincent de Paul. And it's pretty cool. Bunch of people of all ages getting up some free throws, donating to a worthy cause. 100% of the profit, 100% of the proceeds goes directly to the charity, and the charity helps elderly residents in Marin who are having a hard time with rent or utilities. And met Jack Hayes, who was the initiator of the event and still there as MC today. And I asked him the record. So Dave, you shoot 10 free throws, and that's kind of your initial score. And then you start again, and the first one you make begins your streak, and then you can go for as long as you keep making free throws. And the event, which has been going on for quite a few years, I don't know exactly how many, Dave, the record, 104 by a woman by the name of Ashley, who was a good high school player and could have played in college, but did not. Came in on one of these Sundays in January about 4 years ago and knocked down 104 free throws in a row. So there you go, Dave. Pretty impressive. All right. Correspondent Duffy signing off.
Nice job, Duff. 104 free throws in a row. I don't think I've made 104 free throws in my life. Very impressive. So coming up now, we have the podcast event that we mentioned at the Hub, and I just wanted to introduce quickly our good friend, and multiple time guest, Tom Poser, who we asked to be the MC of this event, and he graciously agreed against his will. He did an awesome job kind of coordinating the speeches, and you'll hear him speak. He's very funny and charismatic, as he always is. So thank you to Tom, and thanks again to everybody for coming out to the Hub. Here's Tom.
Couple speakers here, couple people to acknowledge as well. I appreciate you having me. Thanks for coming. I have been asked to be the MC, which makes no sense since the host of 95.7 dibs and whatever on TV or radio for 11 hours a day is sitting
Definitely
right
not
here.
on TV.
We'll get. So a few quick things. First off, let's thank Jerry. Let's clap it up for Jerry right here, everybody. I believe he's the only sponsor that actually pays for his sponsorship, if I'm not mistaken. He's a good man. And he and I lost the Shoot Hoops tourney together. That was probably 12 years ago. Had either one of us hit a couple shots. I missed a lot of shots that day. Yeah, I missed a lot of shots in my career. Let's thank Angela. Where's Angela? Right here, Angela. Angela Ballard's here, everybody. She's an integral part of the podcast behind the scenes and a really important person. And then we've got Katie Levine over here as well. Katie is the wife of Dave. And she's a very important part of the podcast, but I can't quite tell you why, because I believe it's a part of the trivia later, if I'm not mistaken. We don't know. We'll stay out of it.
We have no idea.
Okay. So there's an important date in history, and that date, Tori, is September 22nd, 2023. Okay. A few things happened that day. One, Senator Bob Menendez was indicted on federal bribery charges on that day. That was important. Make note of that, Joe. Okay. Ukraine attacked the Russian Black Fleet in Crimea that day. That's also very important. Okay. But most importantly that day, the podcast was born. Run TMC Podcast, everybody. September 22nd. Now, I was doing my notes this morning and I jotted down this podcast. It's $1 million idea. But then I started doing a little bit of math. Okay. So the Dow Jones, September 22nd, 2023, was at 34,963. Charles, you're familiar with the Dow Jones? Today, it is at 48,063, which is a 37.5% increase. So I figure these guys are each worth about $100 an hour of their time. Okay. Let's see. We've got 77 episodes. Is that right? 77 episodes.
One drop today. Yeah.
No idea.
Okay. My math will be off. 77 episodes, $100 an hour. It takes 11 hours to produce an episode of the podcast combined. That is 847 hours. So that is $84,700 of man hours that these two have put into the show. That's a lot of money. Okay. Had they
I'm now very depressed, but keep going.
Had they just taken that money and instead of doing a podcast, put it into the Dow Jones, we would have $116,462. So it's not $1 million idea, Kevin. It's $116,000 idea podcast. Okay, before we get to our two speakers, I just want to recognize a couple people. Mike Saya is here. Mike recently retired. Mike, Hall of Fame coach at Marin Catholic, 15 years. Right? But we discussed it. We're giving you credit for 11 years, not 15. Because 4 of those years, you just watched Calcaterra shoot the ball every time he touched it. Those are off to 6 years. Right. We're down to 9. And I asked Mike when I came back, I was like, Mike, you got one kid who shoots the ball every time he touches it. That is not the Drake way. That is not how you win basketball games. And he says to me, Tom, I hear you, but like my brother always tells me, I've never seen a jockey carry a horse across the finish line. So I'm going to sit right here and let him shoot the ball. All right. How many high school head coaches do we have here right now? Kevin, Jay, we got an assistant.
Sorry, Greg.
An assistant.
Yeah.
An assistant. Chad, you're an assistant, right? I'm an assistant. Let's give it up for the head coaches. That's a hard job. One of the trivia questions later is which one will be fired by the parents first. So prepare.
To be clear, we have a college head coach here, Tim Lacoste.
Oh, Tim Lacoste right here at college. Senior leadership. Okay, and then I'll just quickly introduce Natu. So Natu Tua Tagovailoa and I have known each other for a very long time. Professional football player. And we met playing basketball at Drake High School, now known as Archie Williams. It was the Sunday morning run, the 8 a.m. runs. And I said, who is this giant human and why does he keep throwing me on the floor? But the beautiful thing about Natu is every time he threw you on the floor, he would lift you up. And so now to lift all of us up, everybody, wow. Natu Tua Tagovailoa.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. We put phones in here.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
All right. Thank everyone.
88 cents.
Welcome to this wonderful establishment. Last time I was here, I had 2 little kids running around eating some kind of scrambled eggs and sausage and French toast and off the floor, etc. So it's pretty good. Syrup on a toy works, right? Thank you, Jerry, for hosting us. Appreciate that. You and your wife. So the Brain Trust asked me to talk a little bit about community and what does that mean? So I put together a few little notes here. What is a community? If you ask AI and you say, be funny, it says it's a group of people who won't share their food, but they'll share their opinions. And for me, I like to ask people, like, where is the community in your life? What is it? Is it your family, your friends, where you went to school, who you played sports with, who you coach? Where is your community? Well, growing up here, 2 parents, 2 opposite ends of the earth, one from the Netherlands, one from Samoa. Our community growing up was our immediate family. our extended family, the cousins in San Francisco and San Bruno and East Bay. And then it was sports, everything sports, whether it was Little League, CYO, Pop Warner football, volleyball, softball, whatever it was, that was our community. And it was a really important part of our community. And the reason why it was important, because two parents who are first-generation immigrants that come to this country who don't know anyone and only work 7 days a week, where do they meet their friends? With their kids, friends, parents, their teammates' parents. And that sense of community of working together to build a field, right? Work the snack bar. My mom was the treasurer of every single sport there was, Little League, softball, see, whatever it was. She did the numbers, right? Dutch lady, pretty good with the numbers. So that was a sense of community. That's what I grew up with. And as you grow and you have a family of your own and you have kids, you start to think like, what's super important about our community? What is it that we do? How do we do it? And you have to think about what's important. So I started to think, well, look, let's see. I had great parents who were always there. They worked 7 days a week, gave us the opportunity to go and do what we needed to do. But what's it really all about? And after some reflection, I came up with this, what's one of the most important things in sports? It's fundamentals, right? Having fundamentals, having good fundamentals. So I came up with this list of the 5 F's. Fundamentals for living your life, right? And in order of priority, your faith, your family, your fitness, then your finances, and then your friends, right? All those things, the 5 F's, all really important. And I try to live my life by that code of the 5 F's. I try to do things in that order. And finance, as you can see, is not the first one. It's the fourth one, right? Taking care of your faith, your family, your fitness. You don't do those, nothing else works, right? So that's one lesson that I've learned over time. It takes a lot to be what I would say a community leader. Now, for those of you who don't know, growing up in Marin, after I played professional football, I came back. I was somehow conned into being on a school board. And for 20 years, I was on the San Rafael City School Board, and I saw a lot of things, good, bad, ugly, indifferent. But I saw a lot of people, teachers and coaches and staff who helped each other, who worked together. A community, again, of people working for our youth. So I think in that case, I learned a lot. It gave me a whole different perspective on what growing up in Marin is. Those that have everything and those that have nothing, mixing that community together, and how does it work? And it's people like you who set the table for that, right? You are the community leaders who bring everyone together. No matter where they come from, you support them in all things, right? So being a leader and building community is what this group is really about. And in that vein, I want to thank Duffy and Dave for putting together a great community of the RUN TMC folks, because it's super important. It's great to listen. And thank you so much for putting this together and having the podcast to give everyone, again, a nice community of people who all do a great job, who are just that little stone in the water that ripples out. We all make a difference. So big hand for those two, huh? Great job. So one thing about community is it builds belonging, right? I'm not alone out here. In youth sports, kids don't just join a team to play the game. They join to be part of something, right? The community gives them a place to belong, a support system, one of those we've got you feelings. So even though you miss a shot, you come off the court, coach giving you a high five, good try, right? That's an incredible thing. It also creates accountability, right? Show up late to practice or miss practice. Some mom says, hey, where were you? All of a sudden you feel that responsibility as a young youth athlete about, yeah, I got to be there, right? Dan's brother, right, taught me something coaching his brother Mike taught me coaching CYO basketball for little fourth graders, right? Show up early, work hard, get better, have fun. You can apply that across the board, from youth sports to high school sports to college sports to work, etc. That same formula works, right? The other thing about community is it multiplies, right? Together, we're unstoppable. One kid can't win a game alone, even the ones who think they can, Calcaterra, right? Community service works the same way. One volunteer can help, but a team of people can change a neighborhood, right? If nobody passes the ball, you can have the best player, but if nobody passes the ball, you're going to be down by 20 at the half, right? Community means we turn me into we. That's what community does. So in conclusion, I got this little note from someone. I can't remember where it came from, but I've held on to it for a long time. It's a little like speech about what we're going to do when we go out there and play hard, right? We don't just show up on game day. We show up for each other. Because here's the deal. Anybody can be cool and great when things are awesome. Skies are blue. It's all good. Things are on time. You got your breakfast. It's all good, right? But it's not always like that, right? People are going to be in your corner when you're on a team when things go bad, when things are tough. They're going to support you. You don't have to do it alone. I tell kids all the time, what's the most important part of the tool in your body? Oh, my brain, my heart, this, that, and the other. I go, no, it's your arm. Can you do this? Raise your arm and ask for help. That's the most important tool in your body, right? So being there for someone, especially the kids, the community that we're in, it means accountability, right? If you skip a practice, somebody notices. If you skip helping, somebody feels it. Think about that. If you skip helping, somebody feels it. So today, we show up, we do the work, we follow through, and the biggest thing, we're a team, and a team can change everything. We don't just serve, we lead, we hustle, we bring energy, we bring kindness, right? And we leave the place better than we found it. So as you go forward and keep doing what you're doing, be kind and keep up the grind. Thank you.
Thank you, Natu.
Thank you.
That resonates with me personally.
Just keep it. You can keep it.
This community is important, and I'm glad that Natu was here to speak because I learned so much from Natu, and I learned so much from Doug. Doug gave me a professional basketball opportunity years ago. He passed it down to me, and I was very appreciative of that. And to see the next generation here, this is Rich and Leo, and my son Charlie's right here. This is the next crew, and so it's nice. I hope you guys get a chance to introduce yourselves to these guys because. I'm at this age, 49 now, where I look at EJ. EJ taught me so much about how to play basketball. And another example of him kicking my ass Sunday mornings and then teaching me how he kicked my ass and the Drake outdoor courts. EJ, I still remember this and it still bothers me. We've never talked about this, but he was posting me up one time at Drake and he did that thing where you put the ball between your knees and then a fake hook shot. And I bid on it and he pulled it out and scored on me. And I was like, all right, EJ. But that kind of cool stuff. Joe taught me how to shoot a fadeaway and travel, but then argued that it wasn't a travel. There's an art to these things. So our next speaker here is Dibbs. We're going to talk about Dibbs a little bit. And, when you get to community, he is sort of, Dan Dibley is one of the absolute center points of this entire basketball world we live in. He and I had an epic, memorable game against each other that we still argue about. And I might have paid him $20 to admit he was wrong recently on these Drake outdoor courts where I bled. I was on the fence and then I was still on the fence and him and his brother were holding me on the fence. And it was a very confusing moment for me. But one of our great people, he has 4 MCAL titles as a volleyball coach, I believe, right?
Yep.
And he is a locally world famous radio host on 95.7, formerly 680 KMBR. And yet you still go to St. Vincent's on a Sunday and that's your ref. And a great moment where I didn't know that these two guys knew each other. And, Dave gets along with everybody and he bros up everybody. And he tried to bro it up with Dibbs during a game. And I believe you gave him a tech. Was there a tech? There was no tech. I believe there was a coach needs to sit down. The assistant coach needs to sit down. There was one of those.
For sure.
Yeah. Anyway, Dibbs, one of my favorite people, one of my favorite basketball people, and just a true community leader. So, Dan, come on up. Dibbs, please.
Thanks, Tom. Tom, come on back for a second, if you would.
Okay.
So we used to do a thing called summer games. We'd play 8 sports in a day, and you had teams that were designed to be across the board kind of fair-ish. Well, the team this one year he's referring to was me, my brother Mike, 5'11", and this guy named Eric Zamarki, if you know him, also 5'11".
Z.
So we're supposed to play basketball against Tom Poser. And, I'm basically playing the stretch 5, and so as a competitor, how are we supposed to defend him in that manner? Well, it was double team, triple team, and foul.
Yeah.
So just before, you get too sympathetic to his cause, if you see me in the front and my brother in the back and he gets the ball and it's, I didn't cut my nails, I'll be honest. I was the gouger. My brother was the slapper. Zamarki was the pusher. And no refs, there's a foul, ball up top.
No free throws.
And you're still here.
Yeah.
Give it up for Tom for surviving.
Tom Poser, everybody.
Who's a survivor? Tom Poser. I just want to follow up real quick on Natu and community, because when you spoke about that, I was all in my feels because I don't really live here anymore, but I come back. I come back for the Hall of Fame banquet. I just was honored to be the MC when Mike got inducted, and I do it every year, and I do it because I love this community. And, new basketball coaches, I'm meeting the fresh round of coaches, and, growing up watching Eddie Joe and watching all the Drake players and then the Sanderfeld teams and Tavani, and all the way through, it had me wondering, and I still don't know the answer, but the big question I have is why? Why is Marin County such a hotbed for basketball? Why is Marin so in love with basketball? Because it's been that way since my dad went to college in Marin in the 50s. Marin and basketball is a thing. So if anybody knows an author, I reached out to Dave Albee, who, if anybody has an extra kidney, he needs one. I asked him if he wouldn't mind writing that book, and he's actually writing another book, but that's the book. Maybe your brother could do it. Duff, why is Marin so intertwined with basketball? Because it's been that way for going on 70 years, and it's great to see the youngsters here. And I can't believe you've got to be 6'5", right? I refereed your games when you were in CYO, and I'm still reffing now because not only do I like reffing, but I love this county. So I come back Saturday after Saturday, St. Vincent's, White Hill, and it's because of the special sauce that is Marin County. So yeah, I just want to thank you too, because I somehow found the podcast and the Mike Fulton episode, and you guys do such a good job of, some of the OGs and then the new people. And then now you're kind of branching out outside of Marin County, but just listening to Natu talk about community, you guys have become kind of the epicenter of what this is all about. And so, 70 something episodes down, and, you bring people out of the woodwork for this. And so, give it up for the podcast and the teacher, maybe. Right at the teacher. I think I'm supposed to reveal the trivia answers. Is that what we're going to do?
Some of them, you can pick and
choose. Yeah, we'll pick and choose. I told these guys that this trivia test was tougher than the SAT. And, spoiler alert, I got a 900, and I was off to the First Unified College of Kentfield. And that's not COM. It was, I don't even want to spell it out because we're live mic. And Charlie, you must have been the respondent who said Charlie Hovler. On 3 of the answers, your name appears. So, and for the record, you're my third favorite Hovler. Actually, you're my fourth favorite Hovler. I haven't seen your sister in forever, but say hi to Justin for me. Appreciate it. Your favorite Marin restaurant? You couldn't say the Hub, although this is now my favorite restaurant. This place is phenomenal. Many answers, including Guest House, Soul Food, Marin Joe's and Sanderfeld Joe's, Gott's, Fish in Sausalito, Cheesecake Factory, and Cucina San Anselmo. Is that sounds right? Okay. Your all-time favorite basketball saying? Keep the big man happy. I'm guessing that was from you.
Yep. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Make a new mistake. I like that. Who's got next? Mine, of course, was no soft fouls. Mm-hmm. And that's going your way. Ankle breaker. Give me the rock. Do your work early is a good one. Toe to the nail. Is that the free throw?
Yeah.
Toe to the nail. And defense is a state of mind. Balls to the baseline. What are Dave Levine's pronouns? Thought this was a little bit of a trap. A little bit of a trap. Because if you say she, her, then, who knows? It could be. Feels like a trap. Lululemon, my favorite response to that. He, him, stud. Don't care. I went with he, Jim, as opposed to he, him. I liked it. They, them, gonna dunk on me is another good one. And ma'am, somebody wrote ma'am, which, okay. And the shizzle. The shizzle was offered up. Who designed the podcast logo? Duffy? No. Picasso? Rembrandt also got a vote. The correct answer from 3 people, actually 5 people. Katie Levine. Hey. Give it up. Hey. Katie Levine, the logo. Right there. Permanently displaying it as we speak. Who is widely believed to be the greatest player in College of Marin basketball history? If you said Eddie Joe Chavez, you were a respondent. Did you go to College of Marin, EJ? No? Okay, one of my brothers. Don Barksdale is the correct answer.
Don
Many
Barksdale.
people had Don Barksdale. Greatest men's player in Marin County history. Eddie Joe Chavez is with us, and he received the most votes, 6 votes. Give it up for Eddie Joe Chavez for 6 votes. You had Zach Borello, Charles Hovler, ladies and gentlemen, with a vote. Give it up. Give it up. TT Carr also with 2. And somebody just wrote Tom. I don't think the name, I mean, Tom. Okay. All
Thank you,
right.
Jonathan.
How many college coaching wins does Steve Lavin have? Ask Tom is what it says here.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
I don't know
Yeah.
the answer. No.
And the other one is, how many college coaching wins does Jimmy Saya have? And I responded with, are we counting his junior college? Because that's also college. I found some of these questions to be a little bit loose and nebulous, but we'll work on that for next year. Do you know how many he has? Yeah, I mean, that includes the JUCO, I would assume. But now this is my favorite one. What number 1 overall player dunked on Tom Poser in a college game? The answer, Michael Olowokandi.
That's right.
Is there a story behind that? Other than he was really tall and you weren't that good?
Yeah, he was at UOP.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hold on, I'm adding up the insults. We're up to
Yeah,
11.
pay the over. Yeah, we're just getting started. Much like the banquet when, you were texting me and goading me to turn it into a roast. That's what we
don't
do.
tell Saya. That was his big night.
I know.
And that was
It
a
was.
side
It was great.
conversation.
So you got caught by Olowokandi?
I was a bench warmer at UC Santa Barbara, and it was a blowout. And they said Poser, which shocked me because I didn't ever get my name called. And I went in there, and the ball came off the glass, and I mistakenly tried to get the ball off the glass, and wow, just one of those big over the back dunks.
Yes.
Yep.
Guys, he didn't box out. That's what happened.
That's
what happened. Turns out you've gone on to have a better career in life than the Candyman. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And Jason Richardson also tried to dunk on you.
He tried to dunk on, unsuccessfully.
Okay, there you have it. Tom Poser, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, always defending. Who is your personal favorite podcast guest? Charles Hovler got a vote. Hey! Melissa Boyle. And if we could just take a brief moment. I don't know if you've heard the episode. If you've met Melissa Boyle, she passed away after an unbelievably brave fight with cancer. And that was by far my favorite episode. And I got to know her a tiny, tiny bit. And wow. I mean, if you get a chance to go back and listen to that, it's inspiration personified. So I just wanted to take a moment to recognize Melissa. And without you guys, I don't think that she gets in the Marin County Athletic Hall of Fame, because that episode shined a light on her career, the San Marin girls team. It's the only time they've ever won the title, and she was obviously a huge part of it. So you guys deserve a lot of accolades for that. So thank you. Thank you. A podcast guest you want to have on? Lauren Polanski, Kiki Williams, the Calcaterra brothers, Jerry Pirro, Melissa King, etc. I don't know about this one about the Sanderfeld guy who fled to Europe and got in.
Dave Deneen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apparently this former Sanderfeld player committed murder, fled to Europe, and then got extradited and arrested. Okay. You can look that
People
up on
like
your
true
own.
crime podcasts, so that's what Dave Deneen.
Right.
The numbers spiked.
Yeah, exactly.
What is your coffee preference? Hot carried the day at 72%. Cold, not as much. And I've never consumed a cup of coffee in my life is on there as well. Just a couple more. Leading scorer in Redwood history, Kitty White. Is she currently playing or should
Currently playing.
Wow. And a lot of Karen and Kylie Horsemeyer,
Mhm.
but it is Kitty White is the correct answer. A lot of great ones on the favorite Chavez family hoop story. I don't know if Eddie Joe wants to come up and tell those, but there's some great ones. Butt coaching in pajamas is mentioned. The one I mentioned, and I'll just say it selfishly, it was watching you play for Panama against the Dream Team. And I think it was it the Pan Am games and you came out and Eddie Joe hits a 3 and he hits another 3. And by the time he hits a couple threes, now all of a sudden they're going to have to pick him up full court. So now it's Michael Jordan checking him all 94 feet because, at the time, the U.S. is thinking, whatever, we're just going to show up. And Eddie Joe and his teammates come out and they were up 13-8 or 15-9 or something, and they got the attention. And that to me was such a moment of pride, not only knowing you, but you in that moment for me were representing all of us, Marin County, obviously representing your family and your country, of course, but more selfishly for me, it's like, that's our guy. And he's putting them on him. And all of a sudden now you got Michael Jordan,
It's okay. No. Come on.
This is planned?
No. Dave and Duffy, everybody. Dave and Duffy. Oh, Dave.
So, for Dave. Yeah, perfect.
See that?
I got it.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for being here. And I would say, I'd probably speak for Dave here, that it is the community that is what has motivated us with this podcast and what will continue to motivate us. This community of basketball, both in this county, mainly in this county, but also outside, the people we've reconnected with through the podcast, the new people we've met, the conversations we've had. And even if it is $116,000 roughly that we've passed on, because that's Tom's math, then it's still worth it, because finances is number 4. So you got to do all the 3 F's before. But yeah, it's been an awesome ride so far, and really appreciate everyone who supported us. And it's just, the community is what really captures it. So thank you to Tom, Natu, Dibs. Thank you to Jerry. I know we're running overtime a little bit, and there are people
Jerry,
that want to bust into the hub, but we do invite people to stick around afterwards. We're going to be watching Niners game and hopefully celebrating a win this afternoon. And then finally, there's a book over there that we'd like everyone to at least sign. And if you have like a basketball thought, a quote, favorite quote or story, just write us a little note there, a little guest book, an assist book. So, and here's my assist to you, Dave.
Last thing, I got one. Thank you guys for being here. Love all of you. Dibs, I'm glad you mentioned Melissa Boyle. This is just an example. So I'd never met Melissa. Johnny Kearns, who's a guy who's just a local, played at MC, great guy, coach. He reached out to us and said, hey, I think you guys should have Melissa Boyle on. She was a great player. She played for Fulton. She's dealing with some tough health stuff. She wants to tell her story. So we just reached out to her, and she was happy to be on. And it was something I'll never forget. And when we had her on, we were finishing up and she wasn't doing well. And we said, we don't know when we're going to get this out. It's going to be a couple weeks. She said, look, I just want to have this out there so that my kids can hear it. And that meant a lot to me. And this silly little podcast where we talk about the inadequacies of the 2-3 zone and all the things that we nerd out about, that was a moment where like this meant something to somebody. So that made it all worthwhile. But whatever. So thank you, Dibs. And Dibs had a lot to do with her making it into the Marin Athletic Foundation Hall of Fame, which was really cool. So she could tell her story to more people. Love all you guys. Thank you for being here. This was awesome. Go Niners.
Good job.
Okay.
John Burke's on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says, "Hey, dude, you too must be from Marin."